Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be talking about the Gospel Coalition declaring David Platt innocent of all charges and all things that were brought up in the Real David Platt documentary, which was a two-part documentary that exposed much of the corruption at McLean Bible Church and David Platt. And I have more to say on David Platt than what the documentary says, but the documentary goes into some specific details about the corrupt leadership of that church, of which David Platt played a major role in lying to his congregation and just misleading an entire church to a precipitous decline. So I've already done content on that documentary and some of the reaction to the documentary. Today, I want to talk about the Gospel Coalition defending David Platt, which is something they've done on a few occasions, at least, that I'm aware of. But I wanted to highlight it to a more broader audience because the Gospel Coalition isn't just openly stating this, they are replying to people who are asking these questions. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. But first, I want to let you know Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry. I don't know anyone that's talked about this story yet, and maybe we're the first. A birdie sent me this story, so you can definitely DMs open on the Twitter sphere and all to send me stories and stuff. But you can support our work, support our writers over our patron like system that's linked in the description below. And also check out my book, Winning Not Winsome 10 Commandments of Spiritual Warfare. That's available on Amazon. And I believe I talk about David Platt a little bit in that book. But for now, we got an article. David Platt or the Gospel Coalition declares David Platt innocent. So, like I said, there's a Real David Platt documentary that exposed his liberalism and corruption at McLean Bible Church. David Platt, extremely woke pastor. Just he's terrible and he's hard to listen to. Like, I can't take him seriously. As someone with testosterone, he just is it's just performative and hyper emotional. I can't stand that type of preaching. But anyway, I'm also very familiar with Radical. I got the book right here. I think it's trash, and that book had such a major impact on evangelicalism over the last decade and a half, and it really shouldn't have. It should have been rejected outright because the book was just liberal guilt nonsense. So anyway, um, David Platt is speaking at the Gospel Coalition 25 conference, so the TGC 25. It is a major conference in evangelicalism. It is the Gospel Coalition's premier conference. They are, of course, the Gospel Coalition, one of the largest online ministries in the United States. And really, I think it's just desiring God that has a bigger platform other than things like Got Questions and Bible apps and other denominations and stuff like that. But they are top 50 in the United States as far as online religious and faith websites go. And there's a few screenshots like this. And you have someone in their comment section asking about David Platt. There's controversy in a documentary. He was involved in your ministry. Is he embracing progressive and worldly philosophy? So the Gospel Coalition does respond. This is my screenshot of the situation, by the way. Uh, so I took the screenshot. I had another screenshot, and it's actually from a different comment section, which is, I think, pretty interesting that they have the same template response to multiple different people. So this is their template response in defense of David Platt. The Gospel Coalition states, "We are aware of this recent documentary and have talked with David at length. Based on what we know, we believe David is innocent of these accusations and has led his church faithfully, patiently, and courageously these past several years. He also continues to serve as a council member in good standing at TGC. We agree with his elders' recent statement." So we're going to talk about the November statement from the elders because we had not talked about their response to the documentary on Evangelical Dark Web yet. So we'll get into that in a second. But let's just talk about David Platt's resume at uh, this church. He helped usher them into the Southern Baptist Convention, and he was a major player in that space, and that was against the church's constitution. We'll talk about that in a second when we get to the elder's statement. And his courage in leading this church involves shutting down because the government asked him to, and then encouraging Christians to attend Black Lives Matter rallies. That's the David Platt courage that we saw in the year 2020, and then he justified his sin from the pulpit. So that is the type of courage we can expect from David Platt, and having people arrested at his church. That's the type of courage we can expect, even though he knows that those charges were never going to see the light of a courtroom, and indeed they were dismissed. So, despite that, he still tried to trespass members of his own church. And that's something that was exposed in the documentary as well, because, they had a cop on their side who also should have known that those charges were never going to stick. And this is part of the statement. I'm not going to read the entire statement, but this paragraph in particular is pretty pertinent. It says, as we have shared multiple times in the past 4 years, a small group of well-resourced individuals from close to far away from McLean Bible Church has launched a coordinated and sustained effort filled with countless false accusations concerning our church leaders and continual meritless lawsuits concerning our church's constitution, all of which have either been denied by courts, are in the process of being dismissed, or have been withdrawn by the plaintiffs. Let's pause right there. It was withdrawn by the plaintiffs after the plaintiffs won. They didn't need to go to trial. They didn't need to settle. They already got what they wanted, which was the unsealed documents, which were then the focal point of the documentary. They were able to unseal the documents, the depositions, and they were able to show the transparency in what the church was hiding from their members. They were able to show some damning evidences and emails of the church leaders conspiring against Pastor Lon Solomon, who is a longtime pastor of McLean Bible Church, who built that church into a megachurch brand. And it became one of the most influential churches in the United States because of its proximity to Washington, D.C. So Lon Solomon built it up to that point, and then David Platt took over and crashed it. It is not as relevant as it used to be because of David Platt and the corrupt leaders at McLean Bible Church. Let's continue the rest of the statement. This group's stated aim has been to disparage and ultimately remove church leaders. Really, that's their stated aim, is to disparage. Now, maybe I'm just taking that to mean slander, but no, they just exposed. Let's be real. Including lead pastors Mike Kelsey and David Platt, our executive pastor Wade Burnett, and our other elders, pastors, and staff leaders who together are committed to leading the church according to God's word instead of the group's personal ideologies. Again, what in God's word promotes wokeness? And Mike Kelsey wanted to torch all white people. What in God's word promotes that type of rhetoric instead of a personal ideology? Our church family has seen this group's harmful attacks and unbiblical tactics for what they are, and church members have voted on multiple occasions in an overwhelming fashion to affirm the direction and leaders of our church. So the too long didn't read of this statement, because again, we didn't read all the statement, is McLean Bible Church investigated themselves and found no evidence of wrongdoing. That is a too long did not read. But it's not a surprising development that the Gospel Coalition is standing up for their boy, David Platt. This is not a surprising development, but it is, I think, a noteworthy development that they have addressed the real David Platt documentary series. I think that is worth covering. I think that's worth talking about. But the fact is, they're doing it like behind in like Facebook comment sections, which again, Facebook is, I don't want to say it's a useless platform, but man, uh, it's not really where the news happens. I'll just put it at that. And I'm not on the Facebook at all, really. So anyway, that's what I want to discuss today. The Gospel Coalition has declared David Platt innocent, and It's just the evidence is overwhelming that David Platt is a false teacher. He's woke. He preaches a poverty gospel. He conspired to lie to a church and violate their church's constitution for something petty like joining the Southern Baptist Convention. He mismanaged the International Mission Board at the Southern Baptist Convention. And again, radical is just such liberal nonsense. It's a terrible book. That's all I got for now. My name's Ray. It's the Evangelical Dark Web. Have a blessed day. Stay based. Christ is King, and we will catch you on the next one.